Hello, Soundies. Welcome to our Sound for Video session. It's good to have you all here. Looks like we have some others joining. Hi, Linda. It's good to have you here. Happy Sunday to you. And Mark's Collected Silences. Good evening from somewhere in Europe. Thanks for joining us. And Lucas is here. James, 70 degrees, 100% humidity, North Island, Canada. Ooh, 100% humidity. Wow. I think here in the mountains of Utah, we're about minus 15% humidity. It's super, super dry here at the moment, but good to have you all here. Thanks for joining us today. I'm operating solo again today. Yes, you can see that. Thank you. Yep, Matt, you called it. Yes, solo again. I'm going to go pick up Danny tonight. She's been away digging up fossils. So anyway, we're going to go pick her up. All right, let's jump into our agenda here. Let's see, there we go, super source. Okay, here we are. A few things I want to cover today. Today is the 10th of August. I forgot to say that at the opening, I think. 2025, thanks for joining us. This, as always, is a workshop which goes along with our courses at school.learnlightandsound.com. Thanks for joining us, whether you're already enrolled at the school or not. Everybody, of course, is welcome. The first thing we're going to cover today is we have a Discord server to support our community in some new ways. And we haven't had really a space to just chat, connect with each other, to ask questions, to share learnings. I don't know is Mark here today. Mark could tell us about how not to buy fake microphones. Matt can tell us about his new $2,000 microphone or whatever, however much the Lewitt costs. And maybe Jude Buffington can tell us about his latest gigs, or any of us can share our latest things that we've learned here. So in any case, that's one part of it. The other part of it that I'm excited to try out is that with Discord, you can also do voice chat. They call them voice chats. The Discord platform is actually set up for the gaming community, but a lot of us are using it for other things as well. We actually use it at work when we're doing what we call synchronous video reviews. So if one of my producers has a video that's at a point where it's ready to be reviewed together, since we're all in different locations, we get into a Discord voice chat. We can actually all go on camera as well. You don't have to go on camera, but you can if you choose to. Then we all have our microphones, and we can also stream, where we're streaming the video that we're reviewing. Then we can each pitch in and say, hey, stop there. I have a note or a question about that particular spot. And it works really well for us. So what I am hoping is that perhaps periodically, the live stream format is pretty good. It's not bad. At least we have a chat where we can talk. And I can learn, for example, that for Ernesto in Arizona, it's currently 97 degrees, and it is a dry heat. Yes, indeed. I lived in Tucson for 11 years, and it's definitely a dry heat. And here, for example, Lillian is coming from Bucharest, where it's 33 Celsius. So the live stream format's nice because there is some interactivity, but the only person that really has a audio voice is me. None of the rest of you do. And what Discord will allow us to do is at least periodically we can get on and have voice chats. Now, you can join the voice chat channel anytime. There's no... there is, you can join at any time, but we'll also probably have scheduled ones where we can come in together and just chat. All right. Matt is also, by the way, just for grins and giggles, Matt hasn't gotten his microphone yet, his Lewitt, but his birthday is close, so if anyone wants to give him the Lewitt LCT 1040, he'll be happy to share his address. All right. Matt, thank you for that. So the thing that's different now is that we had originally tried, we were going to set the Discord server up as a members-only pay community. I set it up, and then I realized, you know what? I have subscribed to a few YouTube channels, but I don't like the subscription model that much, I'll be honest. We all have so many subscriptions that we have to sign up for. So I said, forget it. We're just going to set up a Discord server. You do have to all you have to do is answer one simple question. That simple question is, are you a soundie? I apologize. Some of the others that joined earlier got a different question. Are you a soundie? If the answer is yes, you're in. You're into the community. So we'd love to have you join. So with that, let me just go ahead and get the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat, an invite link. And that way, if you haven't already signed up, you can go ahead and jump in right now. This is the link to join our Discord. The vision for this, of course, is that I want us to all have a kind of a place where we can be comfortable, talk with each other, share experiences, learn from each other, ask questions when we're stuck, help out a fellow soundie when they are stuck and they need an answer to a question that you might have experience with. That's the idea. And you can run Discord in a web browser, or you can. There's also an app if you prefer to run the app. You can do that as well. But anyone's welcome to join. There's no cost. My only ask is that we keep it positive. Keep it if there are any personal insults or attacks, we have both myself and Matt will be moderating. So we're not going to do that. No, none of that kind of business in there. But anything that you can do to share and come and enjoy the community, we'd love to have you there. So, okay. So I can actually, real time, I can actually go ahead and, we got 4 more in here. Alexander, you are a soundie, so you're approved. Brad Fogel, you're approved since you're a soundie. Quasi also, and then Daniel, all approved. Okay, you're in. So you can now join you're all part of the Learn, Light, and Sound Discord community now. So for those that have not ever used Discord before, let me just get to the Mac. Here we go. It's set up kind of like forums. You have different channels. So here, for example, I have a channel where I post all the new videos. We have a general channel here, so as people join, we can say hello. We have an off-topic channel. We have a news channel where Matt has posted a couple of things here about a new camera patented by Apple, an image sensor, I should say, not a camera, that Apple patented that has 20 stops of dynamic range. Another thing where they're fighting fire with sound waves. Interesting. Here's the voice channel that I was telling you about. We just have one voice channel called General. And then we have dedicated channels for anyone who's signed up for the courses and you may have questions about the courses, or we have channels for different types of audio hardware. If you have questions or comments or want to share your setup or whatever it is, there it is. So hoping to make this a vibrant, enjoyable community, an opportunity for the question. There are a couple questions. Number one, Curtis, why did you not do this 5 years ago? The answer was, I was like, I don't have time to moderate and manage another thing. Our friend Matt Ruff very generously offered to help moderate. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So that's why we're doing it now. Second, it feels like there is I don't know what your experience has been, but some of the social media platforms now seem, I'm going to say it in the nicest way possible, past their prime. There seems to be a lot of bot traffic, a lot of noise, a lot of advertisements. I'm hoping to build a place where we don't have to have all of that stuff. So that's the second reason why we're doing this now. So again, if you're interested in joining, we'd love to have you join over there. It's low maintenance. You don't have to participate, but if you just want to lurk, you're welcome to lurk as well. And I don't know how we're going to run the voice chats, but I like the idea of having the weekly sessions here on YouTube, because then they are available. Once the live stream is done, it stays on YouTube. Anyone that who couldn't have joined live can watch it later and catch up. It's there kind of as an archive for all the things that we've talked about, and sometimes I get questions of things that we've already covered, so I can reference people to those previous ones to go in more detail. So I think we're going to keep doing the live streams on YouTube, but I think we might maybe once a month as a start, just to dip our toes in and test. Maybe we'll switch one of them to the Discord chat instead of live stream once a month. I don't know. Stand by for updates. I'll let you know. If you are signed up at school.learnlightandsound.com and you have not opted out of the mailing list, I will send an email there to let you know where the stream is going to be. And of course, if you're in the Discord, I can let you know there as well. All right. All right. Oh no, Rag and Bone Puppet Theater says, click on the link, but don't see the server. 1 second. Oh, because I don't know if you're one of the people that just signed up here. I'm approving 3 more. Okay, see if you have access now, Rag and Bone. Hopefully that will work. Yeah, and I would agree with Brad here. We're definitely in the transition period from social media dominance to post-social media. I think what's going to happen, and I think this is a great example of that, is that for niche things like I'm going to say that what we do is somewhat niche. Those communities will be more focused and concentrated in certain places, not on general social media. So I think a Discord server is a great example of that. All right. There are some other things I wanted to cover today, too. So let's go back here to the agenda. The next thing we want to talk about, okay. Anyway, keep trying. We'll check back in about the Discord server. If anyone's having trouble, let me know. It looks like we have 3 more people that just signed up. I'm going to approve all of you right now. And then Linda approved. Okay, so I'll check back in. So if you sign up here, we should be able to get you. All right. Mick Williams, you're in. All right. Matt says it worked for you. Rag and Bone, keep us updated here as we move our way through the live stream. All right, the other thing I want to talk about here today and demonstrate is iZotope's RX Spectral Repair. In this particular case, I have a sample where we have a ringtone that's kind of interfering with dialogue, and I want to show you how I would go about cleaning that up. It's not simple, but with Spectral Repair, you can do quite a bit to make it better. And we do have a couple of questions that were submitted ahead of time. So with that, let's hop on over to iZotope RX, and let me just show you what we have here. Okay. So we have just a tiny little clip here, and I have 2 sources of noise going on here. So I was really kind of throwing several things at it. Number 1, we have a fan running in the background, and number 2, we have some ringtones. So let me play the clips so you can see where we're starting. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this ringtone from our phone, and I'll even put one in here between phrases, just so that we can get a sense for how realistic it is to be able to clean those up. Let's see what we get. Okay. So, a couple things there. Fan in the background, ringtone kind of interfering with the dialogue. So, a couple things here. First of all, in iZotope RX, the nice thing I can do a waveform view. I can zoom way in and see the waveforms down to the sample level even. If I go in far enough, I can get it down into the samples. All 48,000 of those per second. I can also go into the spectrogram view. And the idea with the spectrogram view is that the horizontal axis is the audio timeline. So this is like a 20 second piece here. And the vertical axis here are frequencies. So the lower frequencies are represented down here at the bottom, higher frequencies at the top. My voice is very interesting. We'll come back and talk about that a little bit later, but you notice here, if I highlight this here and play just that, that's the ringtone. So we can get a visual on what that looks like from on the spectrogram. And that's actually really helpful here. In this case, now I know, okay, this is where the ringtone lies. And in some of these cases here, it's overlapping with the dialogue. You can see it's definitely overlapping here, and to some extent it's bleeding a little bit into this one as well. But let me just show you how I would go about cleaning this up using Spectral Repair. So the first thing, of course, go to the spectrogram view. I can actually clean up a good bit of that fan noise But I'm not going to worry about that. I want to get the most destructive things first. And the most destructive things here in this particular case, fan noise is not the most destructive thing. And the reason why I say that, it's broadband noise, but we have pretty good denoising algorithms. And now of course, they're all calling them AI powered. And remind me later if we have time. I have a story about AI that I'd love to tell you about, an experience I had this week. But I can pick that up. I can clean that up later. It's pretty straightforward to clean up that fan noise because it's constant. It's these discontinuous noises that are a little trickier, like the ringtone. So let's kind of focus in on this bit right here. And I have a few selection tools. This is the standard selection tool, which is basically the time selection tool. So as I highlight something, it highlights all of the frequencies for that time period. I also have this one here, which is a time and frequency selection tool, where I can do something like this. I can select over time just these frequencies, like that. So when I play that back, let's actually reduce it. It's only playing back the selected portion. And this will be interesting if I select some dialogue. And as I'm talking, no, actually it sounds like it's playing it all back. In any case, by selecting this portion, what I can do is tell RX, hey, I only want you to operate on this portion that's selected. Like that. So here between the dialogue, I can get pretty aggressive. I can really manage things here. So I'm going to come back up here to the Spectral Repair tool. And within the Spectral Repair tool, I have an attenuate, a replace, a pattern, and partials plus noise. I most often will use the attenuate and the replace. The way these work is the attenuate is actually going to reduce the overall sound here, but it's going to try to repair the portion. So the part that's selected is the part it's going to repair, but it will use the portions around it to kind of get some information for how it can attenuate it. And also, especially when you're replacing, it's actually saying, hey, I'm going to look at these boxes outside the selected area here to find what to replace this portion that you have selected with. Okay, so obviously because we're right between the dialogue here, the two lines of dialogue, I can't use replace because it'll try and take this dialogue and replace the noise with it, or the ringtone with it. So I'm going to try with attenuate first, and let's just go back to our default setting here. This is the default setting. All right. So I can adjust the strength. I can tell it material to here I can tell it the direction of the interpolation. So material to the left and right of your selection is used for repair. Or I can switch it to the part above and below, or I can choose all four sides. We're going to do vertical. I want it to look above and below because that's going to make sense. I don't want to pull in from the dialogue. I can choose the strength. I can choose the size of the surrounding region to look at. And I can also, if I were doing horizontal, I could say, hey, how much do I want to look mostly before or after? Notice how the box is changing just a little bit there. So we'll go ahead and put that back to vertical. That's what we want to do here. You can also do the number of frequency bands. I think we can pop it up to 2048. That's fine. We have a pretty fast computer here. Multi-resolution has to do with the fast Fourier transform size, if you don't know what that means. And I'm not sure entirely how it applies here, but we'll try it without here. Let's just go ahead and see what happens here. I'm going to go ahead and run it and see what happens. Oh, visually, definitely changed. Let's see what it sounds like now. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going... Okay, it got that pretty well, but it left some tail here. So I'm going to come in and select this bit. And if I zoom out, I can see again what it looks like. It's this tail right here. I think that's the next thing. Let's get that. Okay, it's here again. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to... Now, it sounds a little funky, I'll be honest, but it took care of it. It definitely is sitting closer to the background. But here's another thing. When I am in this spectral mode, I can actually just highlight something like this. I can just take all of that, Command-C to copy, and I can put it right in here. I can paste it. Command-V, paste. Let's see what that sounds like. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this ringtone from our... Too much. That was too much. Let's back off just a little bit. Command-V. No, it's pasting more than I want, so I'm going to select a smaller portion. Like that. Paste. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this. That's actually substantially better. So that's an example of how I would typically use the spectral repair, and using some of the other techniques here too. If I'm in between phrases, I can actually go in and get a little bit more aggressive and actually copy and paste from other parts. So if I have some room tone that I can copy from, here's another reason why, recording room tone, really important. So now I have something that I can copy from. Let's go ahead and try to do the next one as well. Well, actually, before we do that, I'm going to go back to the time selection. Let's just select this. Copy. I can actually just and whoops, undo. Switch to this mode. No, you have to copy like this. Copy. Paste. Here between phrases. Just so that we can get a... And I had a little bit left down here. I want to be careful though. No, what I might do instead is just do some spectral repair. Like that. Or like that. Between phrases. Just so that we can get a sense. Completely gone. Okay, let's try this one. This one's going to be a little trickier. That's a little part of it there. A little bit of it there. Maybe a little bit more there. From our phone. And definitely some right in here. From our phone. And I'll even put... Actually, if we go back, these two vertical things are part of that. Our phone. Ringtone from our phone, and I'll even put one in here between. Okay, not the best, but something that we could probably work with there. So there's an example of how I would use spectral repair to address these kind of things in Isotope RX. Now I would also come in here at this point. This is where I would come in and I would set my high pass filter here at 80 hertz. Watch what happens here. Then we've eliminated all that low frequency. Here it sounds like this now. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this ringtone from our phone. And I'll even put one in here between phrases. Yeah, some weird artifacts that I still have in here. In fact, I could come and maybe copy that. Paste from our phone. And I'll even put one in. Yeah, we're still catching the end of one here. You can see right there. I wonder if I go horizontal. Or even let's try replace. We don't need as much region. Okay, let's see what that did. Tone from our phone, and I'll even, yeah, there's a little chirpy something there still, but get the idea. You can go in and kind of be really, really careful, and especially if I can, the things in between phrases are going to be a lot easier. But now I could also, of course, come in and I could do my spectral denoise, or I could do my dialogue denoise, or my dialogue isolate. Here, for example, let's just do 6 dB of attenuation on the phone, or on the fan. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this. Okay, here's before for the fan. After. And as I'm good, we could even do 6 dB more. And as I'm talking, you can see that we are going to go ahead and play this ringtone from our phone. And I'll even put one in here between phrases, just so that we can get a sense for how realistic it is. Okay, quick and dirty. That's how, that's the general idea of how we'd approach it. So with that, let's go back to the chat and let's see where we're at here. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Let's see. Okay, let's see. We've got, I'm just checking, it looks like a lot of questions about Discord here. I've got some more people I can approve. The voices, Kevin, Taroya, Photo Guy, approved, approved, approved. Okay, that's 3 more of you. Let's see here. Matt's audio buff says, Matt, I tried to sign up and it says an invalid address. Discord says I'm already registered, but goes around in circles. And yes, I started my movies career sound stills editor because everyone else wanted to direct and shoot. I have the same mindset in part. Mark says he had to log out and log back in for it to finally take. Oh, Udo, very good. You can select the destination and then move the selection to the source so you don't get too much or too little. Ooh, brilliant. Let's actually just show you what Udo's talking about there. If I come back into RX, what you can do is, this is where I want to say, for example, copy to. I can actually just move this over here so I can copy it. Whoop, copy, and then move it right back over. and paste. So that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. Udo, thank you so much for that. That is a really nice thing to know. Audio Buff says, thanks, Mark. My wife had to program our VCR many years ago. She's very proud of that fact. We have a guy that can run, I don't know, 96 channels on a digital mixing board, but his wife is the one that programs the home appliances in the case of many years ago, a VCR. So I'm just laughing with you, Jude, just to be clear. I'm not laughing at you. All right. Mark was the master VCR programmer in his household. None of you had the flashing 12 o'clock on your VCRs. I'm very proud of you all. Good job. All right. Yep. Oh, cool. Matt, thank you so much for helping everybody else here. Mark asked if I feel that spectral repairs improved in RX11 versus RX10. Oof. I have to remember a while back. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't know that I don't remember a world of difference. There were other things that there were differences on, but I feel like I don't remember there being big differences between 10 and 11 on that. Honestly, I'm at work, I think I'm still using 10 and I don't miss it. I don't miss 11. The difference is between the versions, standard and advanced. That's a big jump between those two, both in terms of price and functionality. And I definitely appreciate some of the tools that are only available in the advanced version. All right. Okay, so here's a, for all of you that are having troubles with the Discord, and actually let me just pop back over there, see if nobody's pending approval right now, so from this side at least. And we've got our nice little community shaping up here. So Matt can help out if you message him at Matt W. Ruff on Discord. He can send you a link there to get you in. And if you're having trouble, try logging out and then logging back in. Matt's laughing at me. Disgrace, your tech membership is under review. I don't know what to say. All right. DaVinci Girl asks, is RX available as VST2? My Fairchild cannot handle VST3. I believe it's available on a Mac platform as AU and VST3. So I think it's VST. I don't know if VST1 is VST2 as well. It's I do not. It is VST3 as well, but I don't know if you're on a Mac or PC. If you're on a Mac, the AU versions work just great. So that can do the job there. All right. Let me tell you a story. He's laughing at AudioBuff, who can't program a VCR. Well, can't and didn't are two different things in Jude's defense. I will say this. I have something I need to say about devices. Some modern devices that, especially those that have like one button, drive me batty because then I have to remember long press the button to do this, double tap the button to do this, triple tap the button to do this, quick tap and then long tap to do this. And it's like, that is ridiculous. Unless there's something right on the back of the device telling me what those combinations are, it's just frustrating to me. I don't find that to be a good user experience, and a lot of VCRs back in the day were that way, if we're being honest. Anyway, Udo says, I'm still on 10, RX 10 advanced. I'll wait for RX 12. Yeah, I didn't. I will say Dialogue Isolate the version 11 is nice. It does have, works a little bit more like Deconstruct. So if I go back over to RX, we can just nerd out about this for just a moment. You'll notice here that Dialogue Isolate, here it is, breaks down reverb, voice, and noise, and you can control each of them, set the sensitivity, has these different algorithms. Dialogue Isolate's always been pretty good. I like it quite a bit. So if I don't want to touch the reverb, but I do want to reduce the noise, I can do that. If I want to reduce the reverb, but not the noise, I can do that. I have a little bit more control. I like that. That's, I think, a version 11 thing. There is the Deconstruct. Where is it? Here it is, excuse me. Similar type thing, where you have tonal gain, noisy gain, and in some cases transient gain, where you can separate them. So you can address those independently of each other. So that's interesting. But I think it's a little bit more straightforward with when I'm doing dialogue, at least, to use the Dialogue Isolate. Something interesting here. Let me just show you this here. 3 more approved. All right, coming through. All right. Notice on these waveforms, the spectrogram at least, sorry, the spectrogram here. Notice these things sticking out here, these high frequency energy things. That, my friends, is my sibilance. Listen to this. I'll play back. Can we play back just this? Yep. Sibilance. Sibilance. Just so if you are struggling to set a de-esser, a spectrogram view like this can be really helpful because it can help you identify where that energy is. Turns out that in my case, those sibilants are pretty broadband. They are gnarly. I've got stuff from, 4.5K all the way up to 15K in my sibilants. My goodness, it's pretty out of control. So there are a couple other things with RX that are useful. Oh, and audio buff. But to be clear, I'd rather program a VCR than a Behringer X32. Fair enough. We got 3 more folks in. Rag and Bone Puppet Theater says 1-button interfaces are a nightmare for anyone supporting users with disabilities. I completely agree. They're a nightmare for people without disabilities as well. This is why people like ENG camcorders. Buttons. Yes, I agree. All right. Oh, and also Monica, this is Jude's wife, says that he couldn't program the VCR. I doubt it. Okay, whoa, Camille. Let's see what we've got here. Using an X32 main left and right via Teranex HDMI into ATEM Mini Extreme, program out to HyperDeck. Is this optimal for quality for live and post in RX Spectral Resolve? Whew. Let me just run through that signal chain again here. So we have a Behringer X32 audio. You're taking the left and right mix using a Teranex HDMI. So that's essentially converting the analog audio out, I assume analog audio out of the Behringer mixer into an HDMI stream, which you then feed into the ATEM Mini Extreme. Then you send the program out to HyperDeck. Is this up? Yeah, I think that should be fine. I assume that what's happening is that the Teranex is converting the analog out of the Behringer to digital, and then it's just staying digital from then on. So that should be fine. It's not like you're going analog to digital, back to analog, back to digital, back to analog, back to digital. When you're doing that in your signal chain, that's when you're more likely to run into issues. And because in that case, you're having to go through that analog stage again and reconvert things from analog to digital, then convert them back to analog. And so the conversion and going through additional analog stages that's where you probably want to avoid things if you can. All right. And, thanks, Camille. Thanks for the info and the fun. Thank you as well for being part of the fun here. Matt was trying to explain to people on Aaron Parecki's channel that Behringer is a bad word. I don't know. All right. DaVinci Girl says, the Fairlight is running Windows 7 only, and I for sure do not drop $135,000 US hardware if Steinberg and the new owner of Isotope Native Instruments like to push me into their ecosystem just to get a new version and pay for things I cannot use. Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. If you've got other tools that can do the job, then by all means do that here. All right. Cosmic 040 on here and Discord. Welcome to the community. Good to have you here. Let's just check and see. I think Matt has a pretty good handle on the situation on Discord right now. Looks like we've got a little community building up there, and we have more going on in the news world. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody. Okay, let's jump to our questions. We had some questions that were submitted ahead of time, so let's take a look at those. First one is from Dick. I'll go ahead and read this. I know it's tiny, especially for those of you on phones. I'll read it here. Would you please explain the various audio normalizing audio level options and settings? I use DaVinci Resolve, which has 14 different normalization modes with target level, dBTP, and or target loudness, LKFS, settings for each. My videos are a combination of spoken word, like presentations, and occasionally background music. The videos are posted online, YouTube, and ScreenPal. Do you have any recommendations for which normalization mode and the related settings to use? I've been using ITU RBS 1770-1 at -23 LKFS because I saw that on someone's YouTube channel a few months ago. The audio sounds okay, but I have no clue what that means. Any help would be appreciated. Well, it turns out, Dick, that we have help for you, and I can send you to this. So I would if you go over to YouTube, let's just show you what I'm talking about here. Do a search for Curtis Judd Loudness, and it will show you Mr. Loudmouth himself, Curtis Judd here. There are two videos I recommend you watch of mine. First, volume versus loudness, so that you'll understand the whole idea of LUFS and LKFS. And then secondly, understanding how to loudness normalize your audio for video. And we walk through the whole thing. But let me also show you, if we hop over here, we're in DaVinci Resolve 20.1 here, so the newest version. And here I have an audio clip. I assume what you're talking about here is you go into clip operations, and you're talking about these normalized audio levels. All of these are just different targets. So for example, if you're going to publish something to Disney Plus, then you might use a stereo, and you're doing it in stereo, then you would use this preset. If you're publishing to YouTube, you might use this preset. Although I would avoid using the YouTube preset. Let me explain why. They're just different targets. So this is for the European Broadcast Union. The one that you're using right now, these are ITU-based specs. These you would use in the United States for broadcasting. These are specifications that are requirements if you're going, for example, to run your video on broadcast television. But it also has these other things. If you're going to publish something to Netflix, you would use this one here. You'll notice it's targeting -27 LKFS. If you go to Disney Stereo, they're targeting -24 LKFS. By the way, LKFS and LUFS, you'll learn this in those videos that I sent you to, but for practical purposes, you can think of them as the exact same thing. One is loudness units full scale, that's LUFS. And then LKFS is loudness units K-weighted relative to full scale, that's LKFS. They're two different names for what are almost exactly the same thing. And for practical purpose, I think you can consider them the same thing. I don't know what some of these others, 10-cent video, no idea what that is. But here on the YouTube target, you can see they're targeting minus 14 LKFS. Now, here's the problem I have with that. YouTube, I think, basically followed the music streaming services. Music is a little bit different in my mind. If you're playing music, that's one thing. If you're listening to something, some sort of program that has dialogue in it, especially if it's a lot of dialogue, the target loudness in my mind shouldn't necessarily be the same thing. So YouTube said, okay, well, Spotify's minus 14 LUFS will do the same thing because YouTube has their music business as well. But for dialogue, and the way it works is if you upload something that's louder than minus 14 LUFS, YouTube will pull it down to minus 14 LUFS. And it's doing that with all of the music that's published on YouTube. So some of those things are actually mastered to be louder than minus 14, but when they get played back on YouTube, it actually reduces the level and it plays them back at minus 14. Now it's gotten a little more complicated with YouTube as well. So if I publish something that is, say, minus 36 LUFS, there is a stable volume setting on YouTube, and it will attempt to boost those levels up so that they're closer to minus 14. And it doesn't always do a good job. So the problem is that a lot of people posting to YouTube, obviously, don't know a whole ton about these arcane nuances of audio. So they had to provide something to make it easier for those kind of situations. But the short version, I would say to you, Dick, is I would probably stick with the ITU setting that you're using. I would get your videos to at least minus 23 LUFS. I usually target, unless I'm doing a microphone review or an audio interface review where critical listening is important, in those cases, I will normalize to minus 23 LUFS. And the reason I do that, or LKFS, the reason I do that is that way I typically don't have to do any sort of compression or any other sort of dynamics processing to achieve that loudness level of minus 23. Ideally, though, if you have visitors or people that are watching your videos and they're watching them on their mobile phones with their mobile phone speakers in their, how many times have you seen some person trying to watch something in a noisy area and they're on their phone and they're just, either they have the earbuds in, which are, some of them are good and some of them are not that great, but it's a really noisy area and they're trying to listen to it. That's when going to a louder loudness target is helpful. So they don't have to crank their device up as much. And in some of those cases, you can only crank them up so much. And if it's really, really loud, environment where you're trying to listen back is really problematic. I'm creating more confusion than help at this point, I think, Dick. So go watch those videos and come back. If you're in the Discord, you can ask more questions in the Discord or come back next week and we'll talk about it some more. So that's Dick's question. Hope that gets you set on the right path and headed the right way. Next question is from Leo. I have a question regarding the Zoom F8N Pro with the Deity Theos DLTX and Sanken COS 11. So there's a lavalier microphone into a Theos wireless microphone system, which is then being fed into the Zoom F8N Pro. I'm interested in the optimal gain staging for normal dialogue for the lowest possible noise floor. Well, a couple things, Leo. Noise floor with lavalier microphones is going to be a combination of, especially going to be a combination of the sound in the space where you're recording, the self-noise introduced by the lavalier microphone, and then possibly, to some extent, the noise introduced by, noise introduced by the wireless microphone system as well. So here's where I would start. I would connect the receiver to your Zoom F8N Pro, and I would set the Zoom F8N Pro's inputs that you're feeding the audio from the Deity Theos into it, set those to line level. On the Deity Theos receiver, set the output level to 0 dB. Then on the transmitter, set the input gain so that the dialogue is as you watch the meter, is peaking up somewhere around minus 18. I'm assuming you're going to do some post-production. That's where I would generally start. Now you can do other tests. Then you can crank up the input gain on the transmitter and bring that into post and see if that's quieter noise floor wise. There may be some nuances there. I haven't specifically tested that combination, but that's kind of the general approach I would take. Now, if you're finding that the audio level on your transmitter is peaking around minus 18, but in the Zoom F8M Pro, those same peaks are only coming in somewhere around minus 24. Well, then what I would do is you can boost up I would probably just boost the input level on the Zoom F8M Pro by just maybe 10 dB or whatever, just so that you get the same levels on your transmitter and in the recorder. That's how I would approach that. All right. Thank you for the questions. I appreciate you submitting them. I hope that helps you, and I hope that gets you where you want to be in terms of recording quality. All right. What is happening in the chat? I'm afraid to ask. No, I'm not afraid to ask. Not really. Camille says, I got DaVinci Studio. AI does a lot for audiovisual matching and improvement. Is RX now just for exceptional cases or still essential? I've never considered, well, it depends on where you're operating. I would never really have considered RX Advanced essential for hobby projects for certain. For professional projects, it can be helpful. If you're working in a studio, we almost never use it, although our studio in San Francisco is, there is a retail space below. It's in an old brick building with wooden joists and flooring. And the retailer down below has some speakers mounted to the ceiling of their space, which is the floor of our space. And the vibrations are making their way through from their retail space into our studio. So sometimes we do have to use RX to do some noise reduction a little bit, depending on, we try to record in the morning before they open, but sometimes we can't. We have to record when we can record. There have been a few times it was so bad, for whatever reason, they had turned it up louder one day relative to previous days. And we've attempted to buy them pizzas and ask them to turn it off for a while, but that hasn't worked out very well. So in any case, that's where we're at there. But I would say, Camille, it depends. The AI noise reduction algorithms that I've seen are generally really quite good at reducing constant noise, especially like air conditioning. They're less good at removing things like ringtones. So if you really feel like you need to get rid of ringtones or any sort of discontinuous noises like that, that's where a spectral editor like RX can be really helpful. There are some others as well. I think there's Spectral layers is another one, but there's some others out there as well. Oh, Mark, going back to the loudness discussion with Dick's question earlier, minus 14 LUFS for dialogue is incredibly hard to achieve without compressing the hell out of it. Not worth sacrificing quality to achieve YouTube's ridiculous target. Yeah, I completely agree with Mark here. Minus 14 for dialogue is a little much. That you've compressed it so much that it's fatiguing to listen to. These days, I've been targeting around minus 17 when I am doing it for our videos at work. We're generally around between minus 18 and minus 20. Note that when you try to achieve that minus 14 LUFS, your noise floor is also going to be much more prominent because you're reducing the overall dynamic range. So that means the floor is coming up. The peaks are coming down, but typically the floor is coming up as well. So it's I don't necessarily recommend minus 14 for pieces that are primarily dialogue. Very different if you're doing music. Udo wants to know, are there any real 32-bit float transmitter receiver systems on the market? Well, there are systems that achieve wide dynamic range in different ways. And at the top end, the pro end, yes, there are some that are achieving really wide dynamic range. Are they using 32-bit float? I don't know exactly how they're all of them are achieving it, but I think what a lot of them are doing is some of them, I think the Shure Axient Digital, for example, the latest generation of the sound devices Astral, what they're doing is that you plug a lavalier microphone into your transmitter, it captures that at a very low level and transmits it to the receiver, and then at the receiver is where you set the gain. So it's achieving something sort of like 32-bit float in a very different way. I don't know. I can't remember. Are there any that are actually doing 32-bit float? I can't remember. Anyway, I think there are different ways of achieving similar type things, Udo, and I think that's how the pro systems are approaching it. Instead of doing 32-bit float, they're generally, and I don't know if they're probably using some sort of 24-bit encoding, but they're sending everything at a much lower gain to the receiver and then allowing the mixer from there to manage levels. Okay. All right, let's see here. Yeah, and just like Udo, just in my book, the higher the loudness target, the less dynamic range you can maintain. That's true. And at some point, it becomes just really fatiguing to listen to. All right. Camille asks, if I'm correct, you use an Allen and Heath SQ5. For streaming, you use the DLZ. Is the SQ5 too big or complex? Any quality loss? It's overkill for what I'm doing here. Like I have, my signal chain's a little different today. We're actually using the Shelford channel, feeding that line level into the DLZ. And then the DLZ is coming over to the cameras, microphone inputs, and then to the ATEM, to the Pearl Nano, and out to the world. The reason I'm doing this is then I have the pads here, the music pads for playing the intro and outro music on the DLZ, but I have the compressor that I'm using on the Shelford channel. The Allen Heath SQ5 is big, so I'm operating in a pretty small, typical spare bedroom sized room here. And so it's a little too big for this space. It has way more than I need for the live stream. It also does not have the music pads, which are useful and simplify things quite a bit for the intro and outro music. Just having a pad that I can just tap a button and it plays is great, instead of having a separate device that's connected to the mixer that I then have to trigger and then, move faders around to get things where I need them to go. So that's why I use what I use. I love my SQ5, don't get me wrong. I don't think I don't notice any. We're streaming to YouTube, so I don't think the quality loss is happening at the mixer. The quality loss is happening elsewhere in my bad compressor settings or the YouTube encoding or wherever. But that's how I look at that. Okay. Matt is getting a run for his money. Maybe we need to send a super chat to Matt. Matt, I think we need to get you a little help here. A rare thing for a retired guy. Thank you for your help, Matt. Very much appreciate it. All right. Let's see. What else have we got here? After this live stream, I'm going to have to take a nap. I've had to work so hard. Maybe we can send him a fancy microphone from Lewitt after this. All right. All right. Keith says he thinks the Discord issue has worked out. That's good news to hear. Brad put a question a few chats back. Let's take a look and see if we can find that. Oh, here we go. Have you been testing out Apple OS 26 series audio control improvements, which would probably make for a very good standalone video once the new phones are announced? Yeah, no, I'm not beta testing. I wasn't planning to buy an iPhone 17. I have an iPhone 16 and I'm on the every other year plan of upgrading. And I don't really use my phone for a lot of my professional work, so I don't know that I'm really the right guy to test that out. But yeah, I'll keep my eyes on it and see where we get. Oh, there's from Camille again. Sorry, tapped the wrong thing there. Okay. Matt knew what he was signing up for, so it's all good. Again, thank you, Matt. All right. Rory is looking forward to both the camera and sound recording features, iPhone 17. Very good. Very specifically, they've added some audio input control features that previously were not very good. Your existing phone will have those updates once the full software is announced this fall. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at that. All right. Well, friends, the time has come. Let's just take a look at the Discord server here, see how we're doing. Woo. Okay, looks like Matt's got everything under control here. It says, yeah, looking good. So we're going to do just a refresh here. Looks like we have 42 members joining. Thanks everybody for joining here. I was on the, I see, oh, Aaron Parecki's in there. Hi, Aaron. I was on Aaron Parecki's live stream earlier today. I was very hesitant to chat in the chat because he was doing a live stream from his bicycle, from his e-bike specifically. And it delighted me to see him flying past all these other cyclists, especially going uphill, where he's going like, I don't know, 15 miles an hour, and all the other cyclists are toiling at 8 miles an hour up the hill. And he's live streaming while he's doing it, unreal, and checking the chat. And I'm like, oh, careful, Aaron, keep your eyes on the road. I didn't want to distract him too much, but nice job. Thanks for sharing that, Aaron. That was really cool to see how you could do that. All right, friends, we'll see you in the Discord in the meantime, and then we'll see you next week. Get out there, make some great sound, and we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody.